The religion of peace strikes again. Can you guess which faith the suicide bomber at the Liverpool Women's Hospital belonged to? That's right, he was a Christian. This suicide bomber was from Syria, and most people in Syria are Muslims, but this one was a Christian, and he converted to Christianity. And he actually converted in a cathedral where he was once arrested for carrying a knife. So a very unbalanced character, to say the least. And it's possible that that cathedral was actually his target on the day that he blew himself up, and the taxi driver wound up at the women's hospital because he couldn't find any parking at this cathedral. So it's very strange that a convert to Christianity would want to attack a cathedral, the place where he had embraced his new faith. And this is not the first Christian/Muslim who became a Christian terrorist that I can think of. A while back in Reading, there was a Libyan terrorist who murdered several people, and he seemed to be unsure whether he was Muslim or Christian. He had ISIS sympathies, but at other times he'd been describing himself as a Christian. So maybe this is a pattern of identity crisis and someone who is unsure of who they are. And churches, unfortunately, being as they are, always welcoming to people who are suffering, the church's door is always open. Very often priests and ministers will be attacked by mentally ill people who have come to the church because everywhere else has turned them away. And this might be another case of such a mentally ill person taking out his anger on the place where he found refuge, turning on the very people that helped him. Now, I've no doubt he was a genuine convert to Christianity. I know some people say that Muslims coming from the Middle East will often fake a conversion in order to help with their application for asylum, and it's even been alleged that he changed his name to Enzo to have a more Christian or Italian sounding name, as he thought that might help with his application. But he lived with a Christian couple. He seems to have been active within the church, and again, it's an individual suffering with mental health problems who has wound up carrying out a terrorist attack. I'm not saying it wasn't terror. If you strap yourself with explosives and you're ready to blow yourself up, that's probably going to fit most people's definition of a terrorist attack. But it's not quite clear yet what the motive was. I described it as an ISIS style attack, but if this man is a Christian, I might have to retract that statement. We might have to wait and see what emerges from the investigation. I know several individuals in Liverpool have been arrested, so let's see what we learn from that. 3 men in their 20s have been arrested. It's a little bit late, isn't it? And of course the threat level from terrorism has been raised. That's also a little bit late, isn't it? Why do we always raise the level of terror alert after we've had a terrorist attack? Shouldn't this have been on the Saturday or the week before? Did anybody know that this was on the cards? They've arrested 3 people very quickly, so there must have been some kind of intel. If the 3 individuals who have been arrested turn out to be other Christians from Syria, I'll be very surprised. But maybe this is a case of a vulnerable person being taken advantage of and being let down by the system. If he was arrested for wielding a knife in a church several years ago, why has he not been given any help since then? And if the other individuals arrested on suspicion of terrorism turn out to be of the ISIS or Al Qaeda mindset? Have they taken advantage of a vulnerable and very impressionable individual and just convinced him to go and blow himself up? Let me know what you think in the comments and be honest with me. Were you surprised to find out that this suicide bomber from Syria was a Christian and not a Muslim?